Today I'm going to be reviewing two different models of sandals from Bedrock Sandals, the Classics and the Cairn Pros. I got my first pair of Bedrocks in 2015 for the Appalachian Trail. They were my camp shoes on trail and I carried them all the way until the end, until I lost one in Maine, which I was really gutted about. I'm a big proponent of the barefoot movement. I've tried a lot of different kind of barefoot shoes over the years. I've tried Merrell trail gloves, I've tried Vibram Five Fingers, I've tried a couple of different brands of barefoot sandals. They've all got their positives and negatives. For anything like longer distance or serious hiking, I choose to use Ultra Lone Peaks. I've got a separate review of those. But for anything kind of around town or traveling, I really prefer to wear sandals if I can. Ideally I would be barefoot all of the time, but obviously that's not realistic. The two models of sandals that I'm going to be reviewing, they're very, very different. They're meant to do different things, so it's hard to compare the two of them. The Classics are the most minimal ultralight sandals that Bedrocks make. They're very, very thin, they're very, very simple. They're basically meant for barefoot style running and when you want the most ground feel from a sandal. The Cairn Pros are a lot more robust, they're a lot heavier. They're basically designed for when you need a sandal with a lot more grip, especially in water. They have a special sole that's designed to be very grippy when wet. So again, they're very different sandals. Let's dive into them and take a look. Okay, so just some very basic stats before we get started. The weight of the two sandals is very, very different. The Classics weigh in at 9 ounces for a pair, whereas the Cairn Pros are 18 ounces for the pair. So they're actually exactly double the weight. And then the price on the two sandals, for a pair of Classics, you're looking at about $78 on the website, whereas the Cairn Pros configured in this way, I think is $115. Okay, so the straps on the two models are very, very different. Of course, on the Classics, they're a lot thinner. They're a lot more simple, and then on the Cairns there's a lot more going on. They're a lot wider and beefier. The Classics have a very basic adjustment system. There's only one way of adjusting them. This buckle here adjusts, and then you can loosen or tighten them as you need to, and then pull. You would loosen this off and then pull this through to adjust in the back or in the front. Whereas the Cairn Pros, they have a lot more complicated strap system going on. In the back here is Velcro in the heel area for you to adjust. There's also this metal buckle here which can adjust into a few different spots. These two adjustment methods I leave alone. When I first got the sandals, I fit them to my feet and I don't touch these at all. The only thing I do mess around with is this slide buckle here. And with this, it's super simple. You just slide it off. I tend to undo it all the way when I take the sandals off, and then when I put them on, I grab that tab and tighten them up. It's really quick, really easy, and it's also a great way to get a really customized fit. It's hard for me to pick which I prefer strap-wise. I would say these are probably more comfortable. There's a lot more adjustment you can do, but these are super quick and easy, and I really like that they've used the bicycle inner tubes here. It kind of helps keep the straps on and stops them sliding down throughout the day. Both very different, both very good. The soles on the two models are very different again, and the Classics is between 7 and 9 millimeters thick depending on which option you choose, and the Cairn Pros is 14 millimeters. That may not sound a lot, but when you're wearing them it makes a huge difference. You can feel a lot more rocks in these ones, but you can also feel the ground a lot better, which I really like. With these they're a lot less flexible, but they give you a bit more protection. The Cairn Pros, yeah, they're designed to grip really well, especially in wet situations and from any direction. That's why they've got these big kind of triangular lugs. They do grip really, really well, but honestly I haven't had much of a problem with the Classics gripping. As you can see, I've had the Classics quite a bit longer, and they are starting to wear through where you would expect them to, kind of in the ball of the foot and in the heel of the foot, but they've still got a lot of use left in them. I probably prefer the Classics just because you get a little bit more ground feel, and that's the reason I personally wear barefoot sandals in the first place. The footbed on the models are a little bit different. This one kind of has a more plasticky feeling. It's really grippy. It's good. This one feels a little bit more, it feels more like a natural material, but it's not. I think it's a nylon. They both grip really well. I like them both. The appearance of the two models, they vary quite a bit when you're actually wearing them. I actually much prefer the appearance of the Cairn Pros. They look a lot more normal, is the only way I can describe it. Apparently the Cairn Pros do look pretty cool, because I had a pair of them stolen actually. When I was recently traveling in the Philippines, I left them outside of our room, came back a little bit later on and they'd gone. So I do like to think that someone stole them and is just rocking them, wearing them around the Philippines. I think people are pretty used to seeing kind of adventure type sandals like Chacos and stuff like like that. And these do just look a little bit more normal. When you're wearing the classics, you kind of look like you spend a lot of time at farmers markets. There's not obviously anything really wrong with that, but personally I prefer the appearance of the Cairns. These are always going to be the sandals that I wear on trail, but I do really like these for travel and around town. So just some personal notes on how I like to use the sandals. I do prefer the Cairn Pros. If I'm doing something pretty outdoorsy and adventurous, but that doesn't justify wearing an actual shoe, then I would prefer to wear the Cairns, because you do have a little bit more protection, and I feel like they're just more robust and you can kind of get more done. I also really like them for around town and when I'm traveling, because I think they look pretty cool. They blend in really well, more so at least than the classics. And then the classics, I really like the classics for long distance hiking. When I'm wearing a dedicated hiking shoe, I'm usually wearing the Ultra Lone Peaks, so these are usually always going to be my camp shoe. I don't always wear camp shoes, but if I do, then it's probably going to be a pair of the classics. These are obviously really cool if you are into barefoot running. I'm not much of a runner and you really want the most ground feel, you're probably going to want to go with the classics, because they're super flexible and they do conform to the shape of your feet more. Bedrocks do produce a couple of different variation on their Cairns. The Cairn Pros, as I said, they're designed to be used in water. The grey sole on those is specifically designed by Vibram to be grippy in water. They do also make just the regular Cairn adventure sandals. They're a little bit cheaper. They've still got basically the same tread pattern, but they're not designed for use in water. They also do have the Cairn 3Ds, and they have kind of like a sculpted footbed similar to what you have in like Birkenstock sandals. I personally don't really like that, because if I'm wearing barefoot sandals, I want them to be as minimal as possible, and I don't want that kind of a feature. I just want the footbed to be completely flat so my feet can do its own thing. Okay, so I really do like the Cairn Pros and the classics. If I could only choose one pair of sandals to live with, I would choose the classics. They're a lot lighter and they cost less as well. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you get anything from Bedrock Sandals, I'm pretty sure you can be really happy with it. Thanks for watching the video again. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see you in the next one.